Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Rebecca Robeson and I'm here today to bring you another video in the series of design styles. This one is going to cover two design styles. One of them is called Scandi. Many of you know about Scandi. And the second is called Japandi. I'm going to give you a little backstory. I've done some Scandinavian homes in the past, and Scandinavian used to be very, very modular and clean line. You know, it became popular throughout the entire world because IKEA came into being. And IKEA furniture is all from Sweden and it's Scandinavian. What most of us think of as the Scandi style today is actually quite different than what I knew to be the Scandinavian style. Back then, Scandinavian had a completely different feel and look to it. It was actually quite contemporary. The furniture pieces a lot of the times were modular and they could be moved around and shaped any way you wanted. For example, a sofa might curve. It might have built-in shelves or cubbies, which was pretty creative. Often the pieces were geniusly crafted with moving parts. What I'm thinking of are the things that I would see in the showrooms in the Scandinavian stores. I would see mostly leather pieces of furniture, and they had a less than neutral palette. They were pretty out there. Coffee tables were stark, with emphasis on geometric shapes or interesting interlocking pieces. Another outstanding thing that I noticed was all of the furniture sat really low. I would say the seat height was between 15 and 17 inches high. I have to say, I was always intrigued by the bookshelves or the display units back then. The shapes were really interesting. Some of them would curve like a snake in the middle of a room, and creative people, especially interior designers, they often use them as room divider screens to kind of separate vast spaces if it was necessary or if there was room to do so. So overall, back in the day, Scandinavian design, or at least here in the US, was architecturally interesting, but the overall feel was cold and impersonal. And so I always thought that Scandinavian design didn't certainly meet my taste because I like a home that's a little warmer. Well, my daughter, Shara, she had a home when we lived in San Diego, and she designed it and decorated it in the Scandi style. And that's when it first came to me. Scandi is a derivative of Scandinavian, but it is different. And it's marked by a few things. First off, it's a very, very light, neutral color palette. In fact, in some ways, there's very little color at all, other than white, off-white, and green, like for plants. And let's see, maybe a little bit of terracotta. Those are pretty much the colors. And there are a few black accents thrown in, just sparingly. So she did a great job on her house, but that is my introduction to Scandi, and that's all I have known of it until I decided to do this series. And I started doing research, and I found out a lot about the Scandi style. So I'm going to give you sort of the attributes and the things to think about when you think about Scandi. It would be clean, open, and cozy. 3 words that describe the Scandi style. Basically, it's a really simple style. It's a style that's done with intention. Every piece of furniture, everything you buy and you put in your home has a purpose, a functional purpose, and a reason. But everything is just the color palette is so neutral. It just feels way more warm. And that's the part about Scandi that's so different than my experience with Scandinavian. It's not a cold look, it's a very warm look. In fact, Scandi later came up with a term, and it's called hugi, which means to comfort. So that is added to this clean and light and airy space. It's also cozy. Natural light is a huge and important element in the Scandi style. You'll find furniture and accoutrements that have clean lines and they're easy to live with. Keywords for Scandi would be cozy, natural, almost mid-century in a way because the furniture is very clean lined, textures, warmth, comfy and cozy, simplicity, and an airy, calm, and relaxing feel. Natural materials are a driving force. Obviously, wood. Also, you keep your furniture choices to those that are functional over decorative. Furniture styles that you'll see are small side tables, light wood colors, mid-century furniture type lines, and softer shapes. What about a dining chair in a Scandi style home? This one is really cute. These legs right here, they round at the bottom. It takes on a very Scandinavian look, and yet this is more the warm, cozy version of Scandinavian. This is a boucle fabric, which is very popular with Scandi, and oh, they don't swivel, and they're stationary, but awesome with a dining room table that doesn't match, but happens to be something special that these would go with. I think this is very Scandi looking. Can you imagine this with all the pampas grass? All the pomp and circumstances? The color palette for a Scandi home is mostly white and some off-whites, but really mostly white, and some touches of black added in, sometimes in dining chairs or a light fixture or hardware. But you'll find a palette of neutrals and off-whites. If there is any color added, it's typically a muted green or a muted terracotta. Sometimes warm grays are used in the Scandi style, but for the most part, it is a warm color palette with a bright white feeling, bringing in the natural light even during the times of the year, like in Scandinavia, when they don't have natural light for many hours of the day. Most Scandinavian homes have hardwood floors. You seldom ever see wall-to-wall carpet there. So area rugs are a very important part of this aesthetic. Area rugs are typically something that has a woven look to it, and it has texture, but not necessarily a pattern. If so, not a busy one. One of the things that I think is super cool about the Scandi style is the light fixtures. This is when Shara had her house in San Diego. It was the first time I had seen, basically it looks like a basket upside down and the light emits through it. How creative is that? But you know, IKEA's got some pretty cool lights too. For years and years and years, I've always done like kids' bedrooms there, because when you're on a budget, you want to get stuff that's inexpensive and easy to put together and accessible and functional. And they always have a great lighting department. Now I know why. In a Scandi-inspired room, there's usually not a lot of art. In fact, tidiness is such a big part of this that the walls often remain plain or white. You might see some pampas grass in the corner, but not a lot of art. If you do, it's going to typically be something like some black and white prints that are geometric shapes, and then you're going to have a thin black frame around it, or a wood frame. So when it comes to accessorizing, have you ever noticed that IKEA doesn't have very many accessories? Usually there are some vases, some, shapes. So very simple. The accessories in the Scandi style design aesthetic are pretty minimal. Accessories you might use in your Scandi styled home are live edge wood pieces as art, or art pieces of simple geometric shapes. Everything that is put in a Scandinavian house is done with intention. The idea with the Scandi house is that it's tidy, it's simple, it's clean. But what makes Scandi Scandi rather than Scandinavian is the addition to the feeling of warmth. But there's almost a psychological warmth to your being. And that is why the carefully chosen pieces of furniture, the art, the accessories, rugs, and anything that's in that Scandi home is done with purpose to make you come in, feel comfortable, and not feel cluttered and claustrophobic, but light and airy. This series today is about Scandi and Japandi. What do those two styles have in common? Well, you get the D part, that's Scandi and Japandi. It is a mixture of the traditional Japanese style of interior design mixed with the hygge comfort of the Scandi style, thus Japandi. I told you before that my first introduction to Scandi was with my daughter Shara. Well, my first introduction to Japandi was with my son Jimmy. I must have such really cool kids, right? They're so trendy. Both the Japanese style and the Scandinavian style, both of them are very minimalist. There's just no room for mess. Everything is clean and orderly. But I tend to think that the Japanese style is more traditional, more formal, while the hygge Scandi style is more casual. You bring those two together and you can come up with something very, very unique and very special. How would you feel if you walked into a Japandi style home? I would say you would feel harmony, serenity, and calmness. Some of the natural materials that you'll see would be bamboo, rattan, warm toned woods. I think that a Japandi style home, depending on how it's done, can be a little more sophisticated looking, and I think it's because of bringing in another cultural emphasis into the space. In the traditional Japanese color scheme of their interior design, they often have darker colors than what you would see in the Scandinavian style. It's not all neutrals. You can add warmer colors. But if done well, it's done in bits and pieces, not everything. And I would definitely stay away from really strong, bright jewel tones. If you're going to add color, it could be a cinnamon, a rust, a cinnabar, a burgundy, a rich deep green, black lacquer. Those things can be added into the Japandi style and still look cohesive. I've got some amazing Japandi furniture pieces to show you, so let's take a look now. I think that this coffee table would go perfectly in a Japandi style home. It's got the light wood. The woods are soft on the sides. It's not super harsh. Remember, Scandi has roundedness to it, and Japandi is a combination of Japanese and Scandinavian. This is a great coffee table, and it's just super low fuss, which goes with the whole Scandinavian thing and the Japanese thing too. Bottom line, I think this would be a really good choice for a Japandi style home. I found these, and I think these would be really cute for the Japandi style. Of course, I would put a bunch of real plants in here, would add so much. But the chair itself needs a nice back pillow, but it's pretty cool with all the woven rattan. And look, these round pieces, the legs and the arms and stuff, because that it's wood and it's round instead of square, it gives you the softness of the Japandi look, which is Japanese and Scandinavian mixed together. And to give you an idea of the type of accessories you'd want to use in a space that was designed in the Japandi style, let's take a look at the pieces I found. Hardwood floors are kind of a hallmark of this design style. So of course you're going to need area rugs to give it some warmth. Let's take a look at some of the things that I found. And of course, lighting is so important in both of the styles. Let's take a look what Japandi lighting would look like in your home. I find that the ink art, where it has that very Japanese flair to it and it's done large, big, beautiful, that can be gorgeous. And in this style, you can frame them with nice frames. Not big ones, make them nice and skinny, but it does give it a finished look. A big part of the Japandi aesthetic is the idea of bringing nature in, and that's true with Scandi as well. But in this, it's that flow through where it's like indoor-outdoor living. The glass walls disappear and you have that indoor-outdoor. Having bamboo pieces and wood slatted walls, oh, I love that aesthetic, and that definitely falls within the Japandi style. Now with Scandi, window treatments are awesome. You can have full-length, floor-to-ceiling panels in white linen. They look amazing. But in Japandi, probably no window treatments. Maybe just something very functional like a roller screen, a roller shade, or shutters. That kind of look would be beautiful with Japandi. Because of that indoor-outdoor look in the Japandi style, it's really great to add fresh plants. I would highly do real plants over artificial in this look. It's all so authentic. This whole style is very authentic, so real plants are important. In the Scandi style, I think you can have a fair number of plants. In the Japandi style, traditionally, Japandi would have fewer plants because it's such a minimalist style that less is best. So don't overdo it with plants. Now, you saw my son Jimmy's place. I will tell you, he has a jungle. So he did his version of Japandi. And that's what I think is really important about learning about styles, having a diving board to jump off from and get your basic history and understanding of these styles down. But how you take it from there is how you make it your own and you make it something special. Now you go and take the style quiz. There'll be a link in the description box below, as well as a link to the design sessions. You've heard me talk about it a million times because that's where I teach you all the principles and how to design your own home and make it absolutely beautiful and make it 100% you. All right, you guys, I will see you next time at the next video. We will have more design styles videos coming, and I hope you're enjoying this series. Would you leave me a comment below and let me know? Of course, remember, thumbs up the video, subscribe. I should say that at the beginning of the videos because, when you wait to the end, some people are not still here. I mean, you would think they would be, but they're not. Anyway, those of you who are, thumbs it up, baby. All right, I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.